Hi and welcome to Carnegie and our interview with FPC. My name is Markus Almerud. I'm an analyst here at the bank. I got with me Adam Philpott, who is CEO at FPC. A warm welcome.
Great to be here. Thank you, Markus.
You released Q1 earnings this
Yes.
morning, and very much turning a page for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you strip out some businesses, and let's start talking about what's left, the core revenues.
Yep.
So you see 100% growth
Mm-hmm.
in the core revenues, what's left. What is left of the business after you've broken out some parts?
Yep.
And what is driving that 100%?
Yeah, no, thank you. So, we're really pleased with the results for Q1. Not only the revenue growth, but also the gross margin that we're able to sustain, of course, as well. Because the whole point of the transformation plan, a big part of which happened in year one last year, was to get out of those businesses where value was no longer supported by gross margins and focus on areas where it is. And so that leaves us with our core business growing really well. What's in there? That's really where our logical access, our physical access, that includes cards, that includes payment. As we talked about in our last earnings call for Q4, though, payment we see more as a feature of a product rather than an outright product in itself. There'll be some specific payment product, but we'll see it as one of many features, for example, on a smart card. So that's very much the core business. It's that logical access, physical access.
And the first time we stood here, we're talking about the transformation plan. And you've been talking a lot about transformation plan during your year and a half as CEO.
Yeah.
And you're now into year two.
Mm-hmm.
You're in step two.
Yeah.
And you're now focusing on accelerating growth, and the core business is quite stable.
Yes.
How do you plan to execute on this?
Yeah, no, great question. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. As we came over the turning of the year from 24 to 25, I could feel us turning a corner. Last year was a tough year in terms of what we had to do to get the company to stability. We've got the company into a good place there. So now our attention comes to how do we accelerate growth? We were getting ready for that last year, but now that's where our focus really is. And then on the longer term around operational excellence. So there's really four things that we're doing around how we're accelerating growth. The first is focusing on growing the core business. We have a good core business. You saw the good results in Q1 from the earnings report that we've just launched, but there's more I think we can do. So we're looking at our sales capacity. How do we get even more sales time, more sales energy into getting new customers and growing that business? And then also within sales, what role can marketing play? How do we move it from being, the website upkeep and things like that to being a metrics-driven organization that helps us understand where there are buyers looking for our product, how we go out and reach out to them, generating leads from events and other things we participate in. So really driving the business through the sales and marketing function. That's the first one, the core business. The second one is around asset monetization. So we've done some good work in the past to monetize this massive body of IP that we have through patents. We see more opportunity there as well, but that takes time, and we've got some wheels in motion on that, but that is a pillar of how we can generate more income. The other piece we have is around licensing deals as well. We did a great deal with Smarteye earlier in the quarter. We see some other opportunities moving forward there as well. And one of the things I spoke about was how we rebalance the time to revenue using smart business models and commercial models. So we see more opportunity for that too. So that's the second pillar, asset monetization. The third one, similar to core business growth, is new business growth, getting into new revenue streams. And there's really two that we've spoken about. One is our Anonybit partnership, decentralized storage of biometric templates in the cloud to allow people to access through any device and be able to use biometrics to displace passwords, thus improving security and improving the user experience. So that's the first one, is the core. The second is the intelligent edge. So we're doing organic work to develop the edge modalities that we have as a company, but also to partner on new ones, and Smarteye again is a good example of that, but there are other partnerships. So you end up with a variety of modalities to allow customer choice, to allow you to actually sell all of them to a customer so that you can triangulate and make better decisions there as well. So that's the third pillar, is new revenue streams. And then the final one is really taking us to operational excellence, where we underpin all of that using modern tools, not just having to add headcount to every problem, but actually augmenting our staff with smart tools. One of the programs programs I'm running is on prospecting, so for our revenue operations, using smart tools to identify customers and reach them. The other is more broadly as a business, how we're using AI to augment our human capacity and turn our IT stack into a more agentic model.
Maybe a couple of follow-ups. If I start with the first one of those, the core business, and you're talking about doing more sales. Does it mean, if I look at your product portfolio versus salespeople and how you allocate your resources, are you taking on more salespeople, and are you happy where you are right now with the product portfolio? Is it good enough to kind of go out there and sell massively?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a couple of things in there. As I look at the distribution of our resources by function, we've been deliberate to keep a really strong engineering team, because without that, we have nothing. And so that's a really strong team that we have, largely based in Gothenburg, so that's great. We've got a great sales team. I think it can be bigger. So we're looking at expanding the sales team to increase our capacity. But as I said, it's not just doing that. There are things that we can do to help our salespeople be more productive in the modern age. In the old days, it was pick up the phone, get the yellow pages, call A to Z. Now there's all sorts of online buying data that you can get access to help us know who to target and what their interest is that's relevant to us. So supporting the sales team so they're spending their time more wisely rather than just spending their time. So there's some things like that I think that can really help us. On the portfolio side, we've got a really good portfolio. You can see that in our performance. It also generates good margin for us, which is great. But we're not stuck. We're not done. We're going to continue to build organically. There's some great work the team are doing on a number of projects internally, organically. But also, as you know, we're expanding. I talked about the cloud with Anonybit, but also the intelligent edge. So we'll continue to build out the portfolio organically and probably through partnerships as well.
But is it fair to say that if I look at where you put and where you allocate your resources, that of course you will not stand still, of course you will still be heavy in R&D, but maybe where you will add on resources is going to be rather on the sales side rather
I think that's right. That's exactly, and that's what we are doing now. We're hiring another head in the United States, for example, and then I've got a few other things I'm looking at doing to help really build out that prospecting engine. And this is how we think about accelerating growth, is placing bets on where we think we need extra capacity to fuel that growth.
And geographically, you were mentioning United States, and you mentioned US on the call as well. Is focus rather going to be, is it going to be US, is it going to be Europe? I guess Asia is on the back burner.
It's a variety, honestly. We have a really strong business in the United States. We have a really strong business here in Europe as well. So I wouldn't say that there's one kind of global region where we're going to place multiple bets. I think it's just, we've got global coverage. I see us expanding that. I do see there being opportunity in Asia, in Japan, Korea, in India in particular. And so we're just kind of testing the water a little bit to see how much we can get that to manifest. And essentially, what I believe in sales is once you start seeing the pipeline, then you fuel it even more. Until you start seeing the pipeline, you need to be thoughtful about what's necessary to get that business moving. So that's where we are.
And maybe on the last bit on this part is the partnership that you had, the Anonybit and the Smarteye. Where are we there?
Yeah, so with Anonybit, we announced that one, I think, at the very beginning of Q1. And we're already now starting to get product ready to deliver for the first phase of that. So that's, how it integrates into the enterprise stack in the first instance with Ping ID and their identity access management product. Then we've got other milestones coming down the line to expand the IAM vendors that we support to be able to deliver even more. So really pleased about how that is progressing. And of course, the other piece of work we're doing is ensuring that our own modalities can be ingested into that cloud too, and that's all part of the ongoing engineering work we're doing. So feel good about the progress we're making there. We review it every 2 weeks with Anonybit, so we feel comfortable with that. And of course, now it's a case of getting out to market and building leads and pipeline, which we've already started. The other piece then is Smarteye. They've been busy integrating into their own stack, and then out of that comes a product that we can take to our customers as well, and we'll be working with them in the near future to look at how we take that out and the integrated product that we can go and sell, which then gives us a face modality for the intelligent edge as well. So we start to expand our edge using Smarteye there too. So pleased about that one. Also looking forward to working again with the team when they're back from Shanghai to work on exactly that.
And you had some income coming from Smarteye in this quarter. And if I look forward, is it going to be that same kind of like down payments, or is it going to be at some point you're going to have more of a continuous revenue stream, or?
I mean, I like to see a mixture of different deals, to be honest with you. I don't think there's one type of deal. Of course, you know, there's a business as usual, run rate, volume. That's a core part of our business. But I'm certainly interested in looking at different licensing models. As I said on the call, if we're selling our products to an organization, they then need to embed that in. That manifests as a design win. If we beat our competitors, which we typically do, then they need to go to production, sell their product, then they need to go to market with their product. That's a long cycle. And by the way, on lots of products, sometimes there's a biometric and a non-biometric version. So it depends how successful that product then is with the biometrics on board. So we look at other models whereby we put more skin in the game from the client so that they're motivated to ensure that the biometric product is successful, plus we de-risk and reduce the time to revenue using licensing models. So, you know, there's a number of different opportunities, I think, available to us.
And looking at profitability, starting with the gross margins. I mean, gross margins, now we can see what kind of gross margins you have in this, in the remainder of the business. What kind of levels should this kind of business be at? I mean, we're above 50 now. We were above 60 the last quarter. I think we were at between 50 and 60 for the full year. What kind of levels?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in about the right place. Now, I will tell all of our staff that we're aiming for 60, and they'll be watching this. That's where we ideally want to be. But, you know, I think we feel pretty comfortable that we're in about the right place. Late 50s, early 60s is really where we want to be as a business. So we feel good about that. But of course, as we look at how we scale the organization, as volumes come up, margins come down, that's something we need to manage. It's good in some ways, bad in another. But of course, as we scale the company using tools like AI rather than high-cost headcount, then of course we get better productivity, which impacts our gross margin positively as well. So those are the sorts of levers that we think about.
Because cost base keeps coming down. I mean, the number of employees is down. I think full FTE is down to 43 this quarter, which is, I think, down 70% or something like that year on year. We talked about the offices at the call. It's just basically only the Gothenburg office, the only one left. How do you expect the further cost savings to be faced? Because I assume that everything is not in yet.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's still costs that play out over time because exiting businesses, it takes time, right? Now we're in a place where we can discontinue that, which is super. There's still some costs coming out of that. And it's really, you know, the shadow of the work we've already done playing out now. So those costs are coming out of the business based on the hard work that the whole team put in last year, and we're still seeing that flush out of the system.
And then maybe moving on to cash flow, and all this leads down to cash flow. And cash flow is really your focus here. I mean, it's improving, but a big part of the negative is coming from discontinued operations. So when do you expect that part to be phased out? Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of, we're almost done with discontinued operations, which is why we've now been able to make this move to classifying it as such. So we're going to stop seeing that in the immediate future. We feel good about the work that we've done, and now we can really focus on where we're going as a company.
And that goes both for the P&L, but also for the cash flow
that's right.
Impact.
That's right.
And then maybe finally, I mean, there's lots of stuff going on, and we talked about moving a corner. We're approaching summer, and as we look into the second half of the year, and this part is now behind you, you're in phase 2. Yeah. Where are you allocating your time?
Yeah, I mean,
your focus?
So these priorities, these 4 pillars that I spoke about earlier that are driving growth. So core business growth, asset monetization, new revenue streams, and of course, business, the overall business improvement, business modernization. Those are the things that I focus on. Those are the things that myself and my team make sure we're covering at least some of them on a weekly basis. We go through all of them in detail on a monthly basis. I have it constantly open on my laptop, and I look at it every day. Am I spending my time doing this? And so those are the things that I'm really focused on, is driving that revenue, making sure that we're moving towards some new revenue streams as well. Asset deals are moving forward, but of course we're underpinning the business in new ways as we re-emerge during this time of spring as a new company.
Adam, super exciting. Thanks a lot for coming here to talk to us, and thanks for listening.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.